Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? What we're going to be talking about today is what people are seeing and experiencing in everyday life when it comes to being of the prepared mind. And I get sent pictures and videos and emails. And if you would like to do so, my email is in the description box below. Okay, so this first email comes in from a community member. And it said, this happened in the 1980s. At a hospital, which hasn't existed for some time. This was during a time when the U.S. government was trying to weasel out of paying its bills by redefining what they were going to pay, as in less than the wholesale cost of providing care for Medicaid, Medicare patients. This was called DRG, meaning Diagnosis Related Groups. This occurred halfway through my employment years there, and the immediate effect was sudden short staffing due to not hiring enough people. In other words, the system we have today, and this is what I blame for my story. A patient came to the lab to give a specimen. He was given a urine cup and apparently no instructions. This was in the middle of the day shift, and unbeknownst to anyone, he was still there into the evening shift. He walked with great difficulty to the front desk, apologizing that he wasn't able to fill the whole 250cc cup. No one had the heart to tell him his 8-hour odyssey was for naught, as it had to be tested within an hour of passing. We only really needed 1 cc. His poor member had to be inflamed and hurting badly, possibly for days. Lab people hearing this story will be outraged, awestruck, and if male, hurting for this poor guy. One more reason not to understaff hospitals. Wow. It seems like, if you're not getting left behind in a doctor's office, we all have some horror story. I have many horror stories myself that I can go into great detail with all of you. Being taken to the ER, being told that, ladies, I'm sure you've heard of endometriosis. Okay, I've been suffering with this for decades. And finally, I'm with, the most amazing doctor. And I remember one night I had to go to the ER because my endometriosis was so, just unbelievable. I was bent over. I couldn't even walk. My poor husband was just like, it was so bad. Takes me to the ER. And didn't even see a doctor. I saw a nurse and a physician's assistant. Well, this physician's assistant wanted to do a urinalysis on me. Fine, whatever. Ran tests on me. Fine, whatever. And he proceeded to tell me that endometriosis did not exist. It was all in my head. The pain was all in my head. And then I, in turn, had a UTI. And he proceeded to put antibiotics into the IV, and I was screaming at him, and my husband almost decked him because I'm allergic to antibiotics. I cannot have antibiotics at all whatsoever. And so when they started to realize that I was having an adverse reaction to the antibiotics, they then said, well, I guess we'll just flush it out with saline. Seriously, guy, after I was just screaming in your face, telling you no, please stop. Did they give me anything for the pain? No. They told me it was all in my head. There's no such thing as endometriosis. It's all in my head. And they sent me home on my way. So the following day, I called my doctor. And I also, he had the hospital, the main guy, whoever it was that runs the ER, he called me. And he said that he was so sorry and this and that. And he said, is there anything that we can do to help? And I said, yeah. I said, the next time a woman comes in there and she's doubled over in pain because of endometriosis, I said, next time, listen to her. I said, and don't allow a physician's assistant to tell her that there's no such thing as endometriosis and that it's all in her head. And the guy was just like, he had no rebuttal. He had no words. So, you know, yeah, I have many more horror stories I could tell you, you know. So when there's, you know, and I'm sure a lot of you have multiple stories that you could tell me. And it just, do they care? I'm sure. You know, I know there's a lot of nurses who actually care. There's a lot of doctors who actually care. But I'm sure that they have to go along with guidelines. I don't know. I've never been in the medical field. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to. You know. Just stinks. Okay, so moving on. Here's something that was sent to me by a community member, and I'll read it to you first because the writing's a little small, and then I'll put it up, okay? It says, younger generation, while also permanently impairing our community and regional banks' access to low-cost deposits, this administration is particularly opposed to concentrations of power. Ironically, its approach to SVB's failures guarantees duopolistic banking risk concentration in a handful of SIBs. My back of the envelope review of SIB's balance sheet suggests that even in a liquidation, depositors should eventually get back out about 98% of their deposits, but eventually is too long when you have payroll to meet next week. So even without assigning any franchise value due to SVB, the cost of government guarantee of SVB deposits would be minimal. On the other hand, the unintended consequences of the government's failure to guarantee SVB deposits are vast and profound and need to be considered and addressed before Monday today. Otherwise, watch out. Yeah, I agree. You know, I spoke to Trish about all of this, and she said, you know, because I was told that, you know, it's the Silicon Valley branch and, you know, bank and stuff like that, and, you know, they got bailed out. They got bailed out. Yeah, they got bailed out, but not in the way that you think. Do you know that they were bailed out not dollar for dollar? For every dollar, it was a penny on the dollar. Yeah. So for, you know, the people are saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. They were bailed out. No, not with the way that you think. Yeah. For every dollar, it was a penny for every dollar. That's what the bailout was. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here is a video for you that was made for for us by a community member. She has a channel, and when I watched this video, I laughed so hard my side and my stomach was hurting. She said, hi there, I've been watching and downloading your videos to keep me busy and informed at work. Thank you for taking the time to make all the videos that you make. The truth is hard to come by these days. I've been seriously prepping since 2020 and know the importance of rotating our food when we prep. I'm a comedian and a food prepper. I think it's a wonderful combination. I made a YouTube video about a recipe that I made with Bush's baked beans and why we should keep our food in constant rotation. Humor with a prepared mind. Would you consider this a commercial break? And yes, indeed. She said, my YouTube channel name is Trucker Hat Adventures. And please go over and just subscribe to her channel, watch her videos. You want to laugh, hysterical, you think I'm funny, she's got me beat. She gave me permission to put her video into my video, and that's what I'm going to do for you guys right now. She's clever, she's funny, she's got it all, no kidding. Watch this. Oh, and YouTube, before you try and give me any kind of copyright strike, I got her permission, okay?
I've had my Bush's baked beans for a really long time. But it's time for rotation, because you have to keep your beans and all your food that you're prepping like rotating, circulating, always circulating and rotating, and then you buy new food, right? I was wondering what I could do with Bush's baked beans. So I don't know what to do with that. All your food has to be circulating and your preps have to be circulating. Don't be like Steve.
How y'all doing? I've had this peanut butter for about 10 years now. I can't believe how long I've had it. Just keep all my stuff in the pantry here. For years, I've been prepping probably since the 1968, probably. Trying to keep it down a little bit. My neighbors been up all night. They've been up for probably 9 days. They've been on that Hitler powder stuff that y'all did. Some of them crazy folks did. I did that one time. And I was in the bathroom for 14 hours straight, and it gave me a hemorrhoid. So I never did it. I never did it again. I've been hiding in my food pantry. I wanted to show you some peanut butter that I had for at least maybe closer to 12 years. Might be about 12 years. Could be about 12 years. I'm going to try it right now. I'm getting hungry. I'm like, oh, that's right. That's green stuff on there. That's not right. That's not right. Oh, that ain't right at all. What's wrong with my peanut butter? Ain't wrong with my peanut butter. There's nothing wrong with my peanut butter. That ain't right. That ain't right. There's nothing wrong with my peanut butter. It's all bad.
Okay. Anyway, so I thought and I wondered. I didn't know what I was gonna do with all my Bush's baked beans. I have my plate. What are we gonna do with my Bush's baked beans? There's a recipe on the back of this can. Ooh. Recipe is in the description. Picnic kidney bean salad. It's so good.
best performer year to date is SVB Financial. Don't yawn. This company's a merchant bank with a deposit base that Wall Street had been mistakenly concerned about. SVB is the old Silicon Valley Bank. Recently bought one of our favorite research firms, Moffett Nathanson, and it's become less dependent upon private equity and venture capitalist offerings. Wait a second. Those dried up last year. They could come back. Yes, some of them come back here, but the stock directly affects an oversold position. Stock was the fourth worst performer in 2022. I think the fears were not justified, and it's a very compelling situation. Hey, by the way, long-term private equity and venture capital, they're not going away. Being the banker to these immense pools of capital has always been a very good business. Stock's still cheap. Now, you have to remember that a stock that falls 66%, like SVB Financial did last year, it takes it a lot more to recover. After losing 2/3 of your value, you need a 200% gain to get back to even. This is arithmetic. Some people call it geometry. So you could argue SVB's nearly 40% rally this year is barely a drop in the bucket. And that's how I want you to think it. I think it's also a good example of why these bounce back moves might be far from over. These stocks could have more room to run, especially if you think they were driven down to artificially low levels by tax loss selling, artificial dumping, like we saw